Hello everyone. My name is John McAuley. I'm a research lecturer in DIT where I focus on the relationship between visualization and machine learning in terms of creating new solutions to access data and in ways of building, as Edward said, new modalities into data using different visualization techniques and different methodologies and ways that we can integrate analytics into that, or machine learning as it's now known. I also am part of CDAR, of course, and work on the visualization end of CDAR. If anyone's got any projects they're interested in, we try to take these industry problems and apply advanced state-of-the-art analytic solutions to them. So today, what I'm going to talk about is a little bit of the relationship between theory and practice. I know when you mention theory, I can already see eyes beginning to dull a little bit, but visualization does have an underpinning of theory. There is a theory there. It tends to be a little bit of a pseudoscience. We tend to drag from other harder sciences and cobble together our own theoretical foundation, if you like, and that enables us to, as academics, conduct research into better ways to visualize data, and then as practitioners conduct better ways more effective ways to actually represent data for people to consume that. Okay, so today what I'm really going to look at is some of the psychology of visualization and some of the idea around perception. So the idea of any visualization is to support and enhance cognition. If you want somebody just to spend their time poring over a table, a statistical table, you can give them a statistical table and they can read over it. But in reality, what we're trying to do is give them a picture, and from that picture, they can automatically make inferences. And that's using your perceptual capabilities as humans to enhance your cognition. And that's what I'm going to investigate a little bit today, and some of the approaches that you can employ, drawn originating from the psychology literature and increasingly investigated as part of the visualization literature. So, if you could help me out, I hate when people ask people to do things in talks. I hate being in the audience when they do that, but for some reason I decided to do it. If you give me about 20 seconds on this image, and I'll ask a couple of questions, read it, internalize it. I'll do 10 seconds, it's too quiet. Okay, so how many people are in the image?
5.
5, good, well done. I heard Edward say 6, I think so.
I don't know, it's clear my throat.
Okay, how many are sitting down? 1, correct. Which of the following is present? A rolling pin, an umbrella, a hat, or a teapot? Yeah, so the hat's not there. The hat's not available. What colour is the frying pan? Okay, that's the one that really pops out. People see it straight away. What was the title of the magazine? There's always one person who reads the magazine. We study you alone. Okay, so it's essential lighting. Okay, so it's a little bit of a joke, a visualization joke. What colour is the wall? It's a mauve. I call it mauve. I don't know, is it correct? I don't know, is that even a colour? But it's used a lot in visualization design now, between black and white. Now we've this kind of mauve used a lot. So if we just look at this, we can notice that not all the objects are created equally. Okay, when we look at this image, we can see that some things pop out immediately, like the frying pan, and some things kind of sink into the distance. So if we look at the people and we apply some Gestalt, apply some of the thinking from Gestalt psychology, the German Gestalt psychologist, there's a natural grouping there of the people. So we see a natural grouping there, and as humans, we consider that as a group. There's also a foreground and a background in play here, and that's again from the Gestalt psychologist, where we can see that the frying pan's very much in the foreground and the people kind of sink into the back a bit. But what's most important in terms of this talk is the frying pan pops. And the frying pan in this example would be called a pre-attentive property. And that sounds really fancy. All it really means is before you pay attention, you've seen the frying pan. So it's pre-attention. They've actually done studies to find that it's actually not pre-attention, it's after you pay attention. But the pre-attentive is the word that's used. So it pops out in the display immediately. We internalize that, we can see that. Why is it done that? It's red and it's circular. So why is this important for visualization? So if we just go back to visual attention a little bit and think about how we actually see the world, we've got these cycles of what's called a saccade and a fixation. A saccade cycle is when our eyes are bouncing around all over the place, as we're all currently doing, and our fixation is where we fix in on one point for an instant, And then we take the data in that one point and we internalize it and we recreate in our minds, our visual, our perceptual, our consciousness. Fixations happen 4 times a second. So once every 250 milliseconds, we have a fixation. And then we go again into a saccade cycle, and then we have a fixation, and et cetera, and it keeps going back and forth. But a fixation is only the size of our thumbnail held at arm's length. So we're actually only 4 times a second, we only gather this much information. And then our eyes go again. And then we gather that much information, then our eyes go again. So why is this important for visualization design? So this is what it looks like. There's an artist's representation of a fixation. I typed in fixation, saccade cycle, artist representation, and this is what I got. So here we have a fixation, and we've got the blurring again where the saccade is bouncing around. So why is this important for visualization? So visualization as a process, as something you're asked to do, you're asked to look at a design, you're asked to actually internalize, you're asked to make some analytical judgment, some actionable judgment on it. You're competing with constant noise as a visual designer. Not just noise in terms of the task that the person's trying to do, but noise in the general attrition of life, which is where you get the bus into work and your boss gives you something to do and you're late and you haven't had coffee and you're sitting down and you're trying to understand something and you've got a deadline. You know, your phone's ringing, you didn't get any sleep because you have a baby. All these things matter when somebody's actually trying to perform a task. Now luckily, as a visual designers, we have ways to actually help people through that problem. We can have ways to help them through the design by emphasizing salient points, emphasizing the important data in a visualization, and we do this through the application of these pre-attentive properties. So, another example, is there a red circle? Please say no. No. Is there a red circle? Bam, right? We can see immediately there's a red circle because hue or color is a pre-attentive property and it pops out of display before somebody actually has to apply cognition to it. We've used our perceptual inference, we've used our capabilities, and out it pops immediately. You've helped the user, you've performed a positive design decision, and you've enabled the user to see something important, something salient. Is there a red circle? Nope. Is there a red circle? Yes, so there is a red circle, but it's a little bit more challenging to see because all pre-attentive properties aren't created equal. There's a hierarchy. We have a hierarchy in how quickly we can actually read one pre-attentive property over the other. And that improves our recall. So it's happening immediately within milliseconds, but those milliseconds, sometimes hue might happen before shape, which might happen before length, which might happen before size. And you want to organize those properties in a way that helps somebody actually, understand the visualization as quickly as they can. Now, we have a whole array of different pre-attentive properties that we can apply. So everybody is used to the classic cookie cutter set of visualizations. We've got, say, 16, 15 visualizations we apply again and again and again. We use the same color palette. We don't really think about these different elements. We don't actually say, okay, what do we want the reader to see first? What's the most important thing they see? Is there only one thing we want them to see? And we want to blend everything into the background, so we direct them through the graph in a way that helps them understand what the context is. And we have a list of these that we can rely on. So orientation, length, everyone's familiar with bar charts and column charts. Closure, size, if something's bigger or if something's smaller, that's immediately picked up. We've got curvature, density in a scatter plot. If everything's bunched together, we immediately see that as a dense point and we'll focus on that and draw it in. We have number, hue, color I've covered, luminance, intersections, terminators, 3D flicker, direction motion, velocity of motion, lighting direction. Okay, it becomes a little bit more abstract as we're applying interactivity into the visualizations. Is there a blue circle? Is there a red circle?
Yes.
So there is a red circle. However, what we've done here is we've taken two pre-attentive properties and we've applied them to in conjunction. Now in the first instance, will I risk this? Yes. First instance, we did that correctly. So we took hue and we took shape and we applied that, and you can see immediately that pops out. Okay, that's fine. But if we look at this one, we took hue and we took shape, but we have a red dot, and we're looking for a red circle. So we have a red circle, but we also have a red square. So what actually happens here is we've counteracted all the benefits of applying these techniques, and we're forcing the reader to read the graph. So instead of them seeing something, bam, there it is, there's a red circle, they have to do what's called a serial or guided search, where they actually scan through the visualization, and they're like, there it is. You mightn't well have done it at all. You might have well have just given them a statistical table and let them read it. Because you're not helping them through the process. You're not enabling them to actually see the important data. Examples from the field. So I've given a theory, some examples of how the kind of psychology of perception, how we actually see things, and these set of different characteristics we have can be encoded into these pre-attentive properties. And these pre-attentive properties are things that pop out and enable us to make perceptual inference. Now let's look at some of the examples of how these have been effectively applied. So this is a dashboard from, if anyone's familiar with Stephen Few, he's an angry visualization man who has, they do exist, who's got a set of techniques, or aesthetics, if you like, that he considers as like the sacred cow of visualization. He's a brilliant guy. He's written brilliant books on visualization, but he's a very argumentative guy. Less argumentative in person apparently, but really online he is very argumentative. Anywho, character assassination aside, we have a dashboard here. So this is from his dashboard competition in 2012. For me, this is an absolutely fantastic piece of design. Okay, what we have is 30 students and how they've performed, or however many is there in the rows, and how they've performed over 1 year in all these different categories. Okay, so here we have their last year's grade versus previous grade versus their current performance, their last 5 assignments, how tardy or untardy they are, and then we have, as we read from left to right in the Western Hemisphere, we've got all the aggregates over here on the left. So how the class is performing compared to last year, compared to this year, compared to other classes within the region. Great. He's used a monochromatic palette. He's only used one colour. He's changed saturation or hue to give us different variants, and that's great. And he's used lots of pre-attentive properties. We've got size here. We've got loads of different things going on. We've got length, but what's important is this. He's used red to highlight the borderline people. So this is reverse ordered, and he's used very purposefully, here's the problem up here. You don't need to be a genius. We can apply our conventions of red equals danger, and straight away we know that there's trouble up here. Again, very purposefully designed. There's no mistake here in what the person's trying to do, and they're trying to say, here's your problem, this is what you got to address. Another example, color again. So this is from ProPublica, which is great for different visualizations, and also very political, of course. And here we have I think this is a release of some documents. There's these data dumps all the time. This is one, I think, of CIA, and this is related to drone strikes, I think, around Afghanistan or Pakistan. And every time the word drone is mentioned, it's highlighted. The sentence is highlighted. So this goes on for pages. You can scroll down, but the point being that it gives you the context. Instead of just a keyword search, I know straight away black and white's the main colour, and bam, again, we've got red as the pre-attentive property, hue is used effectively, I can immediately see it. And what I can read is, I can read around the sentence, I've got the context. I haven't just got the one keyword search, I've been able to actually form my own judgment on what's actually been discussed here. And that's because, again, they've very effectively used a very simple design technique, and they've used hue as a pre-attentive property to help me, as a reader, effectively analyse it. Density. Like an idiot, I put this red box around this to show it, well, completely against the whole point of the talk. But I only realised it this morning, and I was like, oh God. Anywho, what we have here is a white Christmas. Right, these are all the different cities in the States. This is between 1973 and 2013. And these are all the different, this is whether they've had a white Christmas or not. Now, as a designer, this is, it's quite beautiful, because what we have is, it's a white Christmas itself. We've got the snow falling. Come on, work with me. It is a very beautiful thing, and it's smart. But in terms of pre-attentive properties, they've applied density very quickly up here, and we can immediately zone in, and we know, we've pulled that out of straight away before we've analysed it, we know that that's where That's where the rubber hits the road. That's the important part. And we also know these are the cities that have established a white Christmas. Once we can read this, we've established the context. Very smartly designed, very simple, not loads of colours, hasn't relied on all the different, cookie cutter graphs that we're so used to, and thought about the design and used the pre-attentive properties correctly. Just to emphasise, the red box is mine, and that's a disaster, okay? Another example, how am I looking? Another example, okay, so density and colour used together. These are very popular and pretty famous visualizations now. And this is shots within the NBA by Miami Heat versus Oklahoma City Thunder, which is a great name for a basketball team. Density shows where the shots are from, and colour shows the effectiveness of the shots. We can see this immediately. You don't need much explanation here. We don't even need, all visualization, by the way, should have some description, some titles and stuff, so to give the context, but we can get at this straight away, and we can also compare. So again, I think this is visualization. When visualization, in my view, reaches a point where it just becomes accepted as a convention, this has reached a conventional stage now. People are actually, this is how you represent shots. You use a heat map and you represent it around the semicircle, and that's the way it's done. So again, density and colour. So size. It's size and colour, but I want to focus on size. So this is from Hans Rosling's Gapminder. Anyone knows Hans Rosling? He's a famous statistician, very funny for a statistician. But he got great. He did a great TED talk. He's he's a brilliant guy, really. But what we have here is a health versus money index, and we've got all the different countries represented here, and size is used for population. So immediately, India and China, as two of the most populated countries on the planet, pop out. Straight away, we can see them. Bam, there they are. So size is really effectively used here to emphasize population. It also, not just that, it helps you orientate your reading of the graph. Once you know that this is health and this is money, and it helps you reflect on the other different sizes of the different sizes of the other country in terms of population. So again, very well thought out design. It doesn't just come by accident. It's come through iteration. It's come through using pre-attentive properties, albeit maybe not knowing they're using them, and using them quite effectively. Finally, colour and length. Education pays. This is from Texas. Bureau of, I think it's from Texas. But why I want to use it was, okay, so there's a couple of things. Again, it's brilliant design because it's comparison. So we've got how much money somebody makes depending on the degree that they've earned versus the level of unemployment. So immediately we've got the pre-attentive property of length, and we got the pre-attentive property of colour. So even if you don't really know it, when you actually set upon to read what these different labels are, you've internalised this. You know what you're reading. So half the work is done by the time you actually go to address it. And again, that's because they've effectively applied pre-attentive properties to actually enable you to make those perceptual inferences and actually go to the visualization with a lot of the work done already. So you got to just think about these sometimes and actually help the reader to actually understand what they're trying to do. So key takeaways. Now everything's about takeaways now because of that TED book. We have a limited view of the world. I've shown that through visual attention. We can only gather so much information at any one point in time. Also, we're competing a lot of the time with noise and attrition. Anyone reads the Fast and Slow book, you're just gathering attrition through the day. You're getting more and more tired. You're unable to make actually effective decisions as you get. That's why if you have chocolate in your fridge in the evening, it's very hard not to eat it, apparently. So we can use design to help somebody through this. We can hold our hand a little bit through, and we can use these pre-attentive properties to identify seminal data points in your visualizations. Don't just rely on your cookie cutter visualizations. Think a little bit about, especially colour. Use a monochromatic palette, and use a real bright, different colour, a primary colour, essentially, to emphasise the points that the reader should get. It's a simple design technique that's very effectively applied. Pre-attentive properties can support effective design. That's my final takeaway. Thank you.